Earlier this week, I found myself needing to work on something really important. So I approached this in the most effective way I knew how. First, I stared into the distance and watched my thoughts drift by. I thought of everything I needed to do and just kept piling them up one by one until my brain couldn't handle it anymore. Next, I looked at some of the things that I needed to do while spitting out quite a bit of profanity and frustration along the way. Then I washed the dishes, in 4K of course. And then I made coffee in 120 frames per second just so I could do some creamy and smooth slow motion, because I've heard somewhere that more than the beans and the actual brewing process, slow motion is actually what makes your coffee taste even better. And then finally, I got my ass to sit down and just get to work. Now I wish I could say I was kidding, but I'm actually not. Truth is, no matter how many times I go through this kind of situation, no matter how much I know that I can actually do the work and the tasks at hand, I always go through a process of resistance. So I wanted to share a few things that have helped me get things done. Quick disclaimer, these things may or may not work for you, but this is the foolproof system that I've found to work for me. Then it's a system that I keep coming back to time and time again. Step 1 is to write things down. Seriously, whenever I feel lost or overwhelmed, my initial instinct is to get a pen and paper and to just start writing stuff down. So instead of watching my thoughts float on by, I find that writing on a piece of paper gives me a quantifiable form to look at. There's just something about the physical aspect of moving your body and scratching of pen against the paper that helps my brain snap out of its state of helplessness. In this process, the goal is to unload the heaviness that's in my head. So I write things from doing a meeting or taking the trash out. If it's in my head and it's bothering me, it goes to the paper. And when I do this, what I usually find is that the amount of things that I thought I need to do doesn't actually equate to the actual things that I need to do. After writing stuff down, the next thing to do is to prioritize. Now I use a very simple method I learned from my wife a while back, and it's called the Eisenhower Matrix. Basically, things that you need to do are categorized in either its urgency and its importance. So you end up with a matrix that looks like this. When something is urgent and important, then you have to do it. If it's urgent but it's not important, then you have to delegate it. On the other hand, if it's important but it's not urgent, then you have to schedule it. And when something is not urgent and not important, then you do it later or you try your best to just avoid it altogether. So after figuring out my most urgent and most important task, the next thing to do is to set up blocks of time or internal deadlines. Now, Parkinson's law states that work contracts or expands to the amount of time that you allot for it. So say for example, today my most important and most urgent task is to play Call of Duty Warzone. Then I go onto my calendar and set an appropriate time for that. This helps me avoid spending too much time on that one task and helps me progress to the other things that I need to do. So yeah, even though the most obvious step and the most important step to take is to just sit down and get to work, I find that it's usually one of the hardest things to do. So I hope this video helps you get your stuff done, and if not, feel free to go back to the original 5 steps. My name is Justin Espeo, and if you like this video, then please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and as always, thanks for watching.